This is a story about a small town in New England that has a problem you'd never expect: heroin. It's a problem, we learned this winter, that has existed for decades. It's been so bad for so long that some people call the place Heroin Town. Spend some time there, as we did, and you'll begin to understand why the war on drugs nationwide has been such a failure. If you drive through the streets of this town, you might be in almost any state in the country. If life's been good to you, you might even think about buying one of those elegant Victorian houses and raising a family, far from the troubles and trauma of a big city. Well, think again. If you had to guess how many heroin users there are in town, how many would you say?
I don't think I could put a number on it. There's so many.
Dozens? Hundreds?
Hundreds.
Jessica Canwell was one of those heroin users. She became addicted here. Like the town she lived in, the drug seemed to promise her peace.
It looks like it's going to be a nice walk in a park, and it's not. It's the most miserable thing you could ever do. It destroys lives, and it takes lives.
An awful lot of people think that heroin is a big city, urban drug.
It's not. It's in Willimantic, and it's infested in Willimantic, and it's a small town.
This is where Jessica Canwell lived for years. Not the drug-infested inner city of a big city, but in Willimantic, a drug-infested small town, population 15, 16,000, in the middle of the state of Connecticut, in the middle, you might say, of nowhere. Nowhere, that is, unless you want to buy or sell drugs, because little Willimantic has been big on the drug dealer's map for years. For more than 30 years, drugs have plagued this town, located halfway between Boston and New York, in the middle of what's called the New England Drug Transportation Pipeline. Paul Schleiman, the man in the middle, used to be a police officer here. His friend, Duke, who doesn't want us to use his last name, was a federal drug agent.
We found out there was lots and lots of heroin coming into the town.
Were you surprised?
Yeah, very much so, because it's a small, quaint, cute little town, and to have that kind of a nasty problem, it appeared to be a hub rather than just a local problem.
Drugs flowed into Willimantic when workers immigrated to work in this factory. When it shut down in the 1980s, drugs became an even bigger problem. The small police force was overwhelmed, and the town became known as an easy place to buy drugs. Many addicts ended up settling here.
In the hotel alone, there's at least 80 people that are addicted to drugs. The majority of the people that live in the hotel alone are addicted.
The hotel is the Hotel Hooker, named after Seth Hooker, who built it in the 19th century. These days, as you will see, the name Hooker has an entirely different meaning. This hotel used to be expensive and chic. Now it's shabby and neglected, and outsiders are not welcome. We sent a man with a hidden camera into the Hooker.
If you want a room, we don't have it.
Our cameraman eventually managed to get past the front desk. The hotel is a dreary, dimly lit place. The wallpaper is peeling, the linoleum cracked. Dozens of lost souls call this home. A young man named Rob lives on the first floor.
How long have you been staying here?
4 years. I didn't ever use drugs till I moved in here. And now I'm on my drug addict.
Our undercover man was in the hotel for just a few minutes when Rob's friend, John, sitting in a dark corner of the hotel corridor, offered to find him some drugs, whatever he wanted.
If you want a bag of dope, I can get it. All you gotta do is buy me one. And I get decent stuff right here in the building.
Reporter Tracy Gordon-Fott spent months investigating the drug problem in Willimantic and wrote a series called Heroin Town for the Hartford Courant newspaper. She also acted as a consultant to 60 Minutes, too. How pervasive is it?
You could just go to many, many places and buy drugs on 24/7. It's like a supermarket.
True or untrue that the supply of heroin now is perhaps greater than it's ever been?
It's greater than it's ever been, and it's pure.
The high-purity heroin that Jessica Canwell used to shoot up here at the old Hooker Hotel is so easy to get that the price has not changed in years. $10 for a fix, a dime a bag. And because the drinking age in Willimantic is 21, Like so many other areas of the country, it's easier for a kid to buy a dime bag of heroin than a six-pack of beer. Hartford Courant photographer Brad Clift found drug addicts openly shooting up in the center of town. That's Jessica on the right. Afterwards, she and her friends washed their syringes in a public drinking fountain. Why here?
Heroin came here 30 years ago, took hold, and it's safe here. It's safe in terms of there's not a lot of violent crime. It's safe for the prostitutes, as opposed to a city where they might get, murdered or raped.
Prostitution is openly practiced day and night in Willimantic. Our man with the hidden camera was parked on a side street for only a few minutes before he was propositioned.
We can go to my place.
You got a place?
Yeah, I live right around the corner.
People at the hooker are so desperate to get money for drugs that men don't seem to mind when their wives and girlfriends work the streets in Willimantic. John introduced us to a man named Joe. His girlfriend, Michelle, was out turning a trick.
Michelle's working?
Yeah, she's working.
She working, girl?
Yeah.
Yeah?
She does what she has to support her habit. Right, Joe?
Yes.
Why hasn't the town been cleaned up? Why doesn't somebody say, look, this is terrible for our kids, it's terrible for us. Let's get with it and clean it up.
They don't care.
They gotta care.
No, they don't. Nope. They've had blindfolds on for so many years, they don't care.
This is one reason Jessica feels that way. That's the back of the Hooker Hotel. Police drive by all the time. That's because police headquarters is right next door. After we started working this story, the police raided the hotel and arrested some 40 people in town, including Jessica's sister Amy. The police chief then said things are going to change in Willimantic.
In closing, our message is we are watching you. Small-time street dealers, major players, this week, this month, this year, you will be arrested.
Why hasn't more been done? We asked the town's top elected official, First Selectman Michael Paulus.
This is a problem that the community is getting behind 100%, no longer in denial. This is a problem that we've got to deal with head on.
Was the community in denial for a while?
Some would say that. I believe we were to some extent, just like any other community, refused to believe that we had a problem or the magnitude of the problem was bigger than we thought.
Once again, federal agents are now helping the town's police investigate the drug problem. But these two law enforcement veterans say they've seen it all before.
Might be some heat, but after that, the drugs were back out there. There was a need for it. They had addicts to feed.
This heroin has gone from generation to generation. And some of the people I arrested 20 years ago were bringing their sons and their daughters for the same charges.
I'm interested in your family life. Tell me what kind of family you were born into, what kind of family you grew up with, what family life was like.
I was born to an alcoholic mother and drug addict. My stepfather started to sexually abuse me.
Beginning at what age?
Young. I don't remember the exact age, but young. 6, I would say.
When she was 10, Jessica's mother threw her out of the house. And you went where?
I bounced streets. I was bounced like a ping pong ball. And I would do what I wanted when I wanted because nobody was my parents.
Eventually, Jessica moved into the Hooker Hotel with a man named John, who was 20 years older. Jessica knew he was a heroin addict. Soon, she started shooting up, too.
It was fun, I can't lie. But there was times I hated it.
And things got worse after John died of a drug-related infection. Jessica ran out of money, but she still had an ugly heroin habit to feed.
My world fell apart before my eyes. When you're hooked on heroin, you become dope sick if you don't have it, to where your bones feel so brittle they'll break if you stand up. You feel very old. Many times you can't get out of bed. Can't sleep. It's a miserable, miserable feeling. It's something I probably would never wish on anybody because it's awful. I hated feeling it.
So Jessica did what lots of female drug addicts in Willimantic do. She started working the street. What'd you say yourself?
I gotta get dressed, I gotta go. I gotta do this.
How did you feel about it?
Disgusted. Ashamed. Dirty all the time. I hated myself.
And she wanted to die. Would have died, in fact, if reporter Tracy Fox hadn't dropped in on her one night at the hooker.
She was lethargic. Her breathing was labored. And I said, Jessica, you need to go to the hospital now. And she said, no, just let me lay here and die.
If you hadn't taken her to the hospital, she probably would have died.
The doctor said she would have died in 24 to 48 hours.
Only addicts like Jessica know how powerful and destructive heroin is. They don't feel it can be beaten by politics and police. Jessica managed to do what most addicts in Willimantic never do: leave town and enter a drug therapy program an hour away in a different city. She has her own drug war to fight, and she knows she can't win in Willimantic.
I won't live there.
Why?
Too many temptations. And I don't want to put myself in a situation where I know where everything is, I know how to get everything. I don't want to be there anymore. I want a whole new life. I want everything to be different.
What are the chances if I come back in 6 months that you'll be in a whole lot worse shape than you are now?
Oh, no. There's no chance.
Not going to happen.
No. I'm determined to get it. Determined. They say when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'm there. I don't want that life anymore.
Now I'm counting on you to carry me through. What's up? Boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Yeah, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away.
Knock yourself out. You cook?
When my mind is free, you know melody can move me. When I'm feeling blue, the guitar's coming through to soothe me. Thanks for the joy that you've given me. I want you to know I believe in your song.
Unbelievable.
Rhythm and rhyme and harmony. All in the club like what? Rugged dressed up, hair messed up. Gold on my neck, don't sweat. Y'all show respect, pop on the set. Death threat, I come along stretch, you can bet. Love is love, for real, for real. Feel what you feel, Park Hill 10304. Rock cats till you can't take no more. It's war, prepare for darts. Martial arts, let me shine, keep me in mind. Son, a song took too long. Back throwing darts without remorse. Start holocaust, slang boards. Remain top hip hop, drop it to your knees for these big CDs. You heard it through the grapevine, killer bees.
Everything is everything. Reality, I keep my mind on everything. Cause everything ain't always everything. And everything that you see ain't reality. They just illusions. Everything is everything. Reality, I keep my mind on everything. Cause everything ain't always everything. And everything that you see ain't reality. They just illusions.
Face to face, I break bread every time. In the world, I hold mine, play it. Now check it, see if you can comprehend these crossover rappers that lost their origin. Run from the woo, this time it's more trouble. I'm coming for the wreck so y'all can never bubble. Never concerned about rabbits. After my cabbage, cherry heads and parrots won't live in the barracks. We gone ho, buck wild with the flow. How we do, Timbos and FUBU. Vocabulary pitfall, fuck all. More clothes than the mall, less brawl. Wu-Tang broke radio laws. The opposite of mine is yours. From seashores to bankrupt, I conduct, erupt like Holyfield. Third seal, third chambers from the hood. Branch out, and every time you see Donna, I'm up to no good. Motherfucker.